try not to break the table. Okay, that was very gentle. Gentle one. Welcome everybody. Guests, no guests today. Viewers at home, you're our guests today. And Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters alike, welcome everybody. We're glad to have our members, our new members especially. Hy-Vee has joined recently, and Peter. We're proud to have you guys, and we're glad we're going to have your first speech today, Peter. Looking forward to it. Toastmasters, the mission of our Toastmasters Club is to improve oral communication and foster those talents within our community. I'm trying to memorize that. It's not in front of me, and that's about as far as I get today. So it's our duty as Toastmasters to really push our oral communication skills and foster that learning, communication, and bettering our communities. One thing that has been brought to my attention recently is that we want to make sure everybody is filling out these books right here. I'm the sinner casting the first stone myself because I've only filled out 1 or 2 sections myself, and I need to step it up with that. And I need the rest of you to do the same. So that way we are getting more people filling out their competent leadership manual. So all of you should have this. If you do not, please let me know at the end of the meeting. And the rest of the stuff, we have plenty of other business. We can see if we can get to induction if we have time at the end. Let us welcome our Toastmaster of the evening, Susanna McCann. Thank you.
I'd like to call on each of the role players for this evening to briefly explain their roles. Our timer tonight is Louis Denbaum.
Hello, club members. My role as timer is to keep time in all of the different segments of the meeting. For table topics, which are 1 to 2 minutes, the green light will come on. Get this to work. The green light will come on at 1 minute, the yellow at 1.5 minutes, and the red at 2 minutes. And then you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. The green light will come on at 2 minutes, the yellow at 2.5, and the red at 3 minutes. And you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Tonight's icebreaker speech by Peter, the green light will come on at 4 minutes, the yellow at 5, and the red at 6 minutes, and then he will have 30 seconds to wrap up. For our speech that is 5 to 7 minutes, the green will come on at 5, the yellow at 6, and the red at 7. And I'll give a report periodically throughout the meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, now Emery Styron, if you could explain your grammarian role, please.
Good evening, fellow members and viewers at home. My role as grammarian is twofold. First, to note any extremely good or bad uses of the English language, and secondly, to introduce the word of the day in keeping with the theme of the meeting, which is explore possibilities. Possibility, a thing that may happen or may be the case, as in the possibilities are endless. I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Now I'd like for Hy-Vee to explain the counter role.
As an counter, I'm going to watch you and counting your words and filling every filler word, including but and so. You know, you don't know, and I'm going to give a report in the end of the meeting.
Great, thank you. And Fraser Jones at the end of the or later on in the meeting will be our general evaluator. He'll conduct the evaluation section. And we have a joke from Prana later toward the end of the meeting also. Now we'll be starting the prepared speeches part of our meeting, and we're very fortunate to have two prepared speakers, prepared speeches for today. I'd like to ask Leslie Hollis to come and introduce our first speaker for the evening.
Had a slow start. Come on, guys.
Oh, we don't have our little lectern. Okay. My name is Leslie. Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. I'd like to introduce a brand new member, Peter Armstrong, who will be giving his icebreaker speech. Peter was born and raised in Michigan, and he attended that other Big Ten school in Ann Arbor. He studied industrial engineering through the master's level. He has been a software developer for most of his working life, and he is exploring half-time retirement, where he hopes to explore new horizons. The objectives of the icebreaker speech is to begin speaking before an audience. The other objective is to discover speaking skills that you already have and skills that may need some attention. The icebreaker speech is 4 to 6 minutes. Please welcome Peter Armstrong.
Toastmasters. Guests, no guests. Each one of us lives our lives playing certain roles, living roles. And my 3 roles that I'm going to talk about tonight in an effort to introduce myself are geek, number 1. Second role is family guy, not the guy in the television show, but a relative of his. And the third role is student. How do you recognize a geek if he's walking down the street? How does that happen? Is it the bow tie? Is it the suspenders with the beard? If you're a Unix program, yes, that's how you're programmer. That's how you're recognized. If someone looked at me walking down the street, they might see me, if I'm next to a building, I might kind of go like that. What's that wall like? Is it solid? What's it made of? Is it going to hold this place up? This one doesn't sound like it's holding anything up. It's kind of a curiosity that I have about how the world works. How are things put together? What does hold up that airplane that's sitting on the tarmac right now that I'm getting on? Does it have 2 wings? Yes. This is good. How do they work? How is it lifted up into the sky? Any kinds of questions such as that? Yes. Other possible ways to identify a geek used to be a slide rule, if you carried a slide rule. Most of you may not have ever seen a slide rule. I have one at home. If you're truly curious, I'll bring it in. And the geek is just always looking at the world, everything, and saying, at least this geek, how is it working? That's the way that I started out. That's why I got interested in engineering. That's why I went to engineering school. and wound up in the career that I've had. But all of these things, they're good in their own way. But I will be getting later to talk about how that is changing for me as I get to where I am in my life now. So, even though my children were probably secretly afraid that their father was going to show them where the fuse box was, they mostly managed to grow up well-adjusted, and they're out of the nest now and living their own lives and having to worry about their own particular brand of identity, I guess you'd say. The second characteristic or role, I guess I'd say, of my life is family God. As I've mentioned, I have children. I was born and raised in a suburb of Detroit after World War II by parents who had just lived through World War II and were very much interested in just getting on with their lives. There were a lot of other families on the street that were in that same situation. Every third house had kids my age. There were plenty of things for us to do. And the extended family was all around. Cousins were a block or two away, aunts, uncles. Across the country, more cousins. And the relationships that we form in childhood carry over to adulthood with our children, with our spouse. I now have my wife. Is that yellow, Lewis?
Yes.
And of course, the children. There are many stories that any parent could tell. My story is that with my older daughter, I would come home from work, and she was 3. She would say, "Let's have a tea party, Daddy," and we would proceed to have water for tea and air cookies and everything like that. A couple of years later, my son would be hiding behind the door when I came home from work. As a 2-year-old, he would come out from behind the door and try to tackle Dad and take him down. He succeeded more often than I really would have expected him to. Amazingly, you can go down quite slowly and preserve your bodily functions and everything. And my third role is as a student. And recently, that role has developed into, really it started 20 years ago. How do I view the world? I can study how the world works mechanically. All right, how does it work in the relationships between people, among groups of people, among nations, in politics or finance or anything else? And that role is now assuming the most importance in my life. So nobody can be defined just by 3 roles. But it is also true that that I have lived my life as a member of basically always of those 3 roles.
Timer, could you give us 2 minutes for filling out the little evaluation
Yes.
sheet? Thank you. Next, I'd like to ask Jean Symington Craig to introduce our next speaker.
Our next speaker is Dennis Gomez, our president. We suddenly have a lot more people in the room. Hello, nice to see you. Dennis tonight is going to be doing project number 8 in his Competent Communicator Manual. It's titled Get Comfortable with Visual Aids. That's the name of the project. I'll give the name of his speech in just a moment. The objectives for this particular talk is to select visual aids that are appropriate for his message and the audience, and to use visual aids correctly with ease and confidence. Dennis Comez grew up in Fargo, North Dakota. He attended university where he met Jamie Jarman, his best friend and current fiance. Only fiance. Yeah. Yeah, okay. No, I said that because I thought it would make it. Don't extrapolate on people's intros. Jamie works in Ottumwa, Iowa, a community affected greatly by ACEs. And we're going to find out what that is, right? Okay. The title of Dennis's speech is Ace of Pains. Please help me warmly welcome Dennis Comez.
When I tell you guys ACE, what comes to mind? What do you guys think when I talk about the word ACE?
Tennis.
What does ACE mean to you? Yeah. What's happening in tennis when you ace?
Right. You hit the ball and your opponent doesn't return the ball and you get the point. It's a fantastic serve.
Yeah, it's a fantastic serve.
Nice.
Can we? Yeah.
Ace of Spades in poker.
Yep, ace of spades in poker. And so there's really a lot of different meanings of the word ace. And here's a new one I'm going to talk about today. Adverse childhood experience. This ace is an ace that many of us are dealing with in Iowa, whether we like it or not. It affects us directly and indirectly, and I'm going to talk about why. Adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs, are basically when children have gone through, say, family separation, divorce, they've gone through verbal, emotional abuse, physical abuse, they may have gone through a variety of different issues in the family with substance abuse and with incarceration if one of the family members has gone to jail. This is a topic that affects a lot of Iowa, throughout Iowa, especially in parts of southeast Iowa. My fiance Jamie is a teacher, and it's an issue that she sees a lot in her community. I was curious about how can I do something to talk about an issue that's affecting a lot of teachers today. And this is where actually I got interested in, let's talk about ACEs. Let's learn about these. So we know that ACEs affect all of us. We need to understand, first of all, what's going on in Iowa and how's it affecting everybody in the workplace and at school with their learning, and how does this affect Iowa's, the healthcare and the health in general of Iowans. Now, let's get to the facts. First of all, let's talk about Iowa in general. We're all familiar with this state right here. And on this map here, there's a variety of counties. Of course, we are in the southeast corner, right around there. Like here's Jefferson County. And then you have, on these darker areas here, you have Wapello County right nearby. So you see really a variety of light and darker shades. What's going on here is in our county alone, Jefferson County, we have 9% of people reporting 4 or more ACEs. So in their childhood, they've had a lot of instability. They may have gone through a lot of abuse, a lot of issues in their family. In neighboring Wapello County, we have 14.3, a whopping 14.3% of children going through 4 or more ACEs. The reason why I'm bringing up the number 4 or more we have a lot of people who, when they report 4 or more ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, we're seeing a much larger rise of health issues and issues with affecting their learning if they cannot overcome it or if they're having difficulty coping with it, which is why we are addressing it today. We know that this is an issue affecting, looking at the map, there are so many different darker areas, many Iowans that you may see every day without thinking about it. How does this affect us everywhere else with our learning, with our jobs, with the economy in general? How many of you here have ever worked before? Please raise your hand. Okay? How many of you have ever gone to school? Raise your hand, please. All of you. All of you have been affected by ACEs, whether it's yourself or whether it's a colleague of yours in school or in the workplace. ACEs, according to Lee Savio, an associate professor of pediatrics for the National Children's Health Association, ACEs can really affect the way that our neurons are firing and connecting among each other. The ACEs themselves can really hurt the possibilities for learning if we cannot have children adapt to them. And if we cannot have people adapt to what they have gone through later in life. We have issues here with adverse childhood experiences right on the bottom of this pyramid. And we have, after that, we have more issues with disrupted neurodevelopment that Lee Savio was talking about. And then up here we have more social, emotional, and cognitive impairments. And then we have more diseases climbing up the ladder. It can lead to premature death if we do not cope with it properly. We know these are issues that can affect everybody at the workplace, and these issues can affect people's concentration if we do not deal with it. I'm talking about all these things about what can you deal, like how can we deal with this? It's probably a question we need to talk about to ourselves. I'm talking about all these negative things, so how does it affect our health in general? According to ACE360.org, ACEs, many people who have experienced so much pain, they see a lot of issues with their heart. They can have heart disease. More often they can have what they call, I think, is chronic pulmonary disease. And they can have more issues with cancer, of course, with substance abuse and depression later on too. So one of the best things you can do is very simple really. It's just you have the cortisol shooting up when people are so stressed, and some people are in the flight and fight mode constantly. Many children who have gone through these things. It's just simple. Oxytocin is a good neutralizer to that. When we give people hugs, when we come together as a community, as a church, as schools, as clubs, whatever you're in, whatever you care to be in, it's up to you. The most you can do is that. Because we have a choice today. We can either let ACEs take us and we can overcome them through stronger support, or we can fall off the possibilities in the ace of pains. Thank you.
Timer, give us 2 minutes, please. Okay, good. All right, thank you. Now, timer, are we finished yet? I thought you said time.
I did.
Okay, great. So could you tell us which of the 2 speakers qualified?
Neither speaker qualified.
Oh my goodness, both ran over. Okay, I guess that means we don't have a best speaker award for tonight. Okay. Now we'll move along to the evaluation section of the evening, and I'd like to invite Fraser Jones, our general evaluator, to conduct this part of the meeting.
evening, Toastmaster members and or guests. To conduct the evaluation this evening, the first evaluator will be Leslie Hollis, and she will be evaluating Peter's speech.
Fellow Toastmasters, the icebreaker is a tough one to evaluate because it's the first time that someone gets up in front of the group to speak. So there are always a little bit of nerves. So I'm just going to go through the points really briefly. What strong points did the speaker already have? I thought you had very strong points in that you organized your speech very well into 3 categories. You also used some visuals. That's something that'll come up later in the manual, but you're already doing it, acting out some of the things that were happening with your kids. How well did the audience get to know the speaker? We did get to know that you're from Detroit. We got to know some things about you being an engineer and how you feel about how the world works, which was really cool that you go around tapping on things, and it's wonderful to hear that curiosity and like go into the mind of an engineer, wonder what you're looking at through the grocery store. When everyone else is shopping, you're looking maybe at the structure. What did the speech reflect adequate preparation? Well, it's the icebreaker speech. You did have notes, which was nice. Just you need to practice with those a little bit more, because I could tell that you had your points lined up, but at one point you saw a note and it took you off in a different direction. When you were about to tell us a story about you, it took us into the story about your kids, which was great. But in such a short time, you have to keep it to your notes. Did the speaker speak clearly and audibly? Yes. You have a good speaking voice. Vocal variety, that's going to come with practice. So did the speech have a definite opening, body, and conclusion? Yes, you organized it, though you kind of got distracted with your notes, and the conclusion was not as strong as your opening. But overall, I mean, it's your very first speech, so I thought it was a good job. On your use of notes, again, we already addressed that. What could the speaker have done differently that would have improved the speech? Just a little more practice and experience. You had a great story. It was wonderful to hear about the 3 hats that you feel you wear, and it helped us to get a better idea of who you are and how you see yourself. So, and what did you like about the presentation? Again, yeah, I liked that you organized it in a way that helps us know what you do, how you look at the world, how you feel about your family, and just to get a good picture of you in those 3 categories. And as a student, learning in the continually learning. So, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Leslie. All right.
Okay, and now we'll hear from Jean Symington Craig, who will be evaluating Dennis.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. I'm going to read through the manual's objectives and give Dennis my opinions on his speech. I found it very interesting. I just want to say it was very interesting. One of the questions is, how clear was the speaker's purpose? I thought it was very clear. He wanted to give information about something that we may not know about, but are all being impacted by. Were the visual aids, so this is a visual aids project, were the visual aids appropriate for the speech and message? I said yes, they were. He showed Iowa demographics, he showed different levels of what happens when you have an ACE and how that affects various parts of your development. He showed cortisol versus oxytocin for hugging and how to get that, so those were appropriate. Did each visual aid help you understand and remember the speaker's point? I was in the front, I could see them, and they did help solidify for me the points. I thought they were irrelevant. He tied them in nicely. Was each visual aid clearly visible? This is where I mentioned that he could, in my opinion, have some improvement. And what I was going to suggest was if he's not using PowerPoint or some digital type of aid, that he might experiment with using a flip chart. Remember those nice easel flip charts? You can have fun with those. You can do some drawing, get your magic markers out, and there's a lot of information you can put on that. And secondly, there's a question here, did the speaker use body language to reinforce the message? If you don't have to hold on to your visual aid, you're more free to do other movements next to your visual aid to really interact with the audience. So that would be a suggestion, because it's probably a little hard for people that were not in the front row to see what those visual aids were. You want everyone to be able to see them. Did he use them smoothly and with confidence? I felt he did. He pulled out the right visual aid at the right time to reinforce the point that he was making. Was the speaker's word choice effective and appropriate? I think it was very well done. Used good words. Was the speech well researched? I gave him an extra star for this. He had a variety of types of sources, I believe. This would be a area for improvement, would be just to suggest that he cite the sources. What were these sources that he was showing us? Because that'll add credibility to the presentation, according to the educational book like that. He also mentioned expert's opinion or quote, so he gave a variety there. Those are my points. Those are areas of suggestions. What I really liked was when he said, all of you have been affected by ACEs in your work and school, whether you know it or not. Ooh, all of a sudden I paid attention, because all of us are being affected. That means I've got buy-in as an audience member. Secondly, when he said the solution, counter the cortisol with oxytocin, the hug, I like that. And finally, I like that he involved the audience. How many of you went to school? How many of you have ever worked? Again, everyone's buying in.
Now I'll introduce the table topics master.
Something for Rick.
Oh.
Last minute stuff here. Mailing them out. All right, you're introducing me? Okay, I'm coming up. Here we go.
So,
All right, get ready. Thanks, Richard. Greetings, Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. I am the Table Topics Master. During Table Topics, it's an opportunity for everybody to stand up here on this glorious stage, and you have an opportunity to confidently and spontaneously answer a question. So we all have these situations in our life where we need to, you're with somebody important or you're with your friends and you just need to spontaneously answer a question or just come up with something to talk about. So moving right along, we've got some questions, and it shouldn't be stressful. It may be stressful, but if you don't like the question, you can just segue to something else. So if you don't like my question, you are able to kind of address the question and move on to something else that is what we'd like to talk about. So I've got some questions here if you'd like to give it a shot. The theme of the meeting is exploring the possibilities. Let's see, Susanna, come on up. All right, thank you. All right. So exploring the possibilities. Do you, let's just start with this. If you could see that you were going to be abducted by aliens in 15 minutes, whoa, I know it's a lot to deal with right now, but if you were going to be abducted by aliens, you know, just the spaceship comes in and, you know, nice aliens, what would you do? How would you prepare for that?
Well, some of you know that I gave a Wonder Woman workshop last weekend, which was a lot of fun. So I think I would get myself into some kind of Wonder Woman mentality, you know. I would draw on my strengths, be prepared for this possibly shocking and possibly outrageous event. I have no idea what to expect or how terrible it's going to be or how wonderful or what I'm going to learn. And so I would just get as ready to learn and as balanced and grounded in myself as I possibly could. Are we at a minute yet,
Almost
timer?
there.
Okay, so I think it'd be a fantastic, wildly interesting opportunity to be beamed up and see what other people might know about who had a wider range of life experience than I've had so far.
And
And
cutscene
so-
to next table topic.
Yes, very good.
Fantastic. All right, thanks,
Okay.
Dan. Nice job. Okay, next volunteer. Art, come on up. All right, Art and I
Okay, hit me.
hit you. All right, what do you got? So you're an investor. I assume you're an investor. Maybe I'm wrong. If I gave you $500 right now, just $500 in cash, right, and I give you a stock tip, and this, the stock's going to explode in the next 48 hours, would you take my advice, or would you invest in a savings account and just pay off your credit card bills and do something boring, or would you take my advice? All right.
Good evening, Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. How many of us ever get an opportunity to swing for the gold cup on somebody else's nickel? It's pretty rare. So in a case like this, where you're giving me $500 and saying, use this as you like, invest in something that you think is going to really take off, or do something boring like paying off a bill, I would swing for the fences. Now, I have no idea whatsoever where that idiom came from. I don't know what a fence has to do with it. But I would definitely, there are so many interesting possibilities for investment right now. I just finished reading a report by a young man who has made and lost several $1 million 3 times in his life so far, and he's a quarter my age. He's probably 28 or 29. And he outlined several possibilities for investment and for currency deals that look to me like one of those opportunities to go for the really big time. So no, I would not do anything as boring as paying off a bill. Those things are possible anytime. Just a little discipline, you can pay off bills. But thanks for the opportunity. I'm waiting for the $500.
Thanks, Art. Thank you. I'll let you know. A little food for thought. Okay, next, Emery, come on up. All right. Come on, Emery, can see this. Okay. I didn't ask anybody else, but would you like the theme? You got some options here. Just go with
Whatever.
Okay, here we go. All right. So there are. Have you heard of RFID chips?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you support the possibility of that future, or would you prefer to, these little chips that you have in your wrist? Not yet, but someday people are saying we will be able to have chips in our wrist. You can scan at the cash register, pay your grocery bill with a little chip. Do you support that? Do you think it's ethical? Do you think there's a lot of problems? I'm not putting more words in your mouth. Just tell me what you think about it. Thank you.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, of all the possibilities out there with technology, that's one that I find the most frightening and disgusting and repulsive. To have a chip implanted in your body. I work hard every day to beat back technology in all its intrusions. I use technology intensively, but I am so sick of Facebook notifications, of chimes that condition you like Pavlov's dog to look at your phone, of blinking lights that do the same thing. I'm spending time every day trying to shut that damn stuff off so I don't have to deal with it. I want technology, but I want it on my terms and not somebody else's. I do not like being tracked. I do not appreciate it when I do a Google search for all kinds of things in my writing research, and then I'm bombarded with ads for similar things, searching for examples here. Dora County. I wanted to find out a hotel in Dora County. Now I've got to look at ads for hotels in Dora County. It's just too much. So, no thanks, Mr. Table Topics Master. Give me the $500.
Right.
Keep your RFID chip.
Thanks, Emery. All right. Yeah. Burn the RFID chips. I agree with you. All right. How much time we got? We got 10 minutes or 2 minutes? What are we doing? Want to come up and try one?
No.
We got a guest or we got a member? It's like my heart's split. I don't know what to do. You had a hand first. Come on up. All right. We got another question for you. All right. Okay. If you had an opportunity to meet someone influential and important to you in your life, anybody, it could be a politician or a family member you've never met or somebody, and so you're nervous, you're excited. Like, what are you gonna do to prepare for that meeting, or would you not prepare? Would you? These questions are all over the place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone answered this question last week. Toastmaster professionals, our guests, viewers at home. In these days, there is one person I would like to meet again. My father. In 2013, I left Jordan and moved to United States as a student. So it took 3 years of me to collect enough money to return back. In the end of 2014, my father had a very extreme cancer in his brain, and within 3 months, my brothers and sisters, they didn't want to tell me about that situation. They thought it's just something can be solved. They called me in the day when he was in the ICU, and they told me that our father is in the ICU. There is a possibility to meet him or not. The possibility was only to speak with him. I do not know if he was hearing me or no. The only contact was with his hand only. When I speak, he just hold my hand. I would like to meet him again to tell him that I didn't want to move to United States just to leave you. but because this is the nature of the life. Thank you.
We got one more. Yep. 2 more minutes till we gotta move on to the evaluation of the tabletops. Come on up. All right. Yeah. All right. One more question. Okay. Thinking. Opportunities. Yeah. What's your name?
Natalia.
Natalia. Welcome to Toastmasters. Have you ever been here before?
No, but my mom has.
All right. So remember, you can segue if you don't like the questions. You can talk about anything. You got a minute, and you just got to talk for a minute. That's it. Well, 1 to 2.
1 to 2.
Yeah, but minimum of 1 minute.
Go for the green.
Go for the green. Go for the red, actually. Okay. All right, the green. I'm sorry. All right. So, have you seen the new Netflix series Sense8?
No.
Okay. Next question. Okay. This is just about the aliens again. Going back to the aliens. If you do you think that if you had the opportunity to visit another species, an alien species, through just like for a little while, just like for a day, an alien spaceship's coming and they want to pick you up for a day and just they speak the same language as you do and everybody's just they're friendly aliens, friendly aliens. Would you decline or accept the offer to go on a little space travel ship? All right.
Hello, Toastmasters. The answer to that question is yes, I would accept, because if I had the possibility to ask them, a question or several questions for a whole day or maybe an hour or a few minutes, if they're another species on a spaceship or something, I would like to ask them, like, what have they seen? Like, have they been outside of the universe? Have they seen, like, other stars, and what does it look like to them? And, because scientists do have the opportunity to look out very far from our galaxy, but they can't look as far as only the seeable universe. They can't look further than that because there is no light outside of that. And I just like to ask that question, like, what is outside of that? So, yeah.
All right, thank you. All right. Thank you. All right, I think that concludes our table topics for the evening. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you. Table Topics Master is relinquishing the role to the... Oh, that's a vote. Yeah, could we vote for the best table topic speaker tonight? Who qualified?
They all qualified, and the names of Susanna, Art, Emery, Taifa, did I pronounce that correctly? And Natalia.
Susanna, Art, Emery, Taifa, and Natalia. Okay, that's everybody. Great. All right, please vote. Just kidding. Now we're back.
Who's our evaluator?
Who is the table topics evaluator tonight? I cannot evaluate. Maybe I can. Who would like to evaluate tonight? Anybody? Volunteer?
Susanna, did you pick an evaluator?
Hold on a second. Let's see.
That's right, I didn't realize Rick was gonna do both.
So Rick was going to do both. Is that my job?
Well, you haven't really.
You
I haven't
didn't
prepped.
realize you were going
I can just evaluate the whole section of table topics. Unless somebody else wants to.
Do you feel like you could jump?
I didn't
I know.
take my classes.
All right, so let's roll with it. Anybody excited? Okay, so basically, we had table topics, and we had Susanna. She had the Wonder Woman. She was going to be Wonder Woman-like when the aliens were going to come, and she was going to take on the strength and be strong and get ready for the aliens. I appreciated how you really embodied Wonder Woman while you were on stage. It's good. Next, we had Emery, I believe. No, it was Art. Art, I gave you the investment question, and your question was, if I gave you $500, what would you do with it? I think your answer was a good thing about your talk was that you said you would, you don't really get that opportunity very often. You know, it's true, we don't. But what if we could? What if we could? So you don't get the opportunity to get $500 very often, and you said you would not be boring. So that was good. I liked how you used the stage. You know, sometimes you kind of stand in one place, you don't move around a lot. I think you moved around a lot, which was good. And let's see, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, your question was RFID. Yes. The chip in the hand. I think a good thing about your speech was you took a position on the chips, and you used metaphors like Facebook and how we're all Pavlov's dogs. You know, we're with Facebook. You know, so that was interesting. And I think you could have used maybe wrapped up at the end again, you know, something like some sort of strong statement about why RFID chips are terrible. Strong statement. Udepa. Yeah, your speech, that was amazing. It was really, I felt your love for your father in your speech, and I think it was a powerful speech, and I appreciate your taking the question and really just your courage in that question. So that was good. Let's see, in terms of a criticism, I think a suggestion, I would say maybe, I guess I was paying attention to the word, more to your body language than the actual words that you were, the words that you were saying about the speech. But I guess a suggestion I would just say to maybe slow down, because you talked quickly, so maybe just slow down a little bit in your speech. But I think you did make it past the red light. Last, Natalia? Yes. The question about the aliens, I think you answered the question. You took the time ahead of the time to think for a second or two, and maybe my suggestion would be to come back next week and keep coming to Toastmasters. And thanks everybody for dealing with that diverse array of questions. Table Topics Master relinquishes the role to General Riley.
Which evaluators qualify?
Okay, which evaluators qualify? That's
Yeah. Which evaluator qualified?
So all three evaluators qualified: Leslie, Jean, and Ryan.
So now we vote for the best evaluator in Leslie, Jean, and Vanna. So now we'll get the reports from the various role players. Time, I'll skip time. Let's go to the grammarian.
I'm ready if you are,
Yeah, I'm
Mr. General Evaluator.
Okay.
Good uses of language, Susanna, possibly shocking, possibly outrageous event. I don't know if I got this exactly right. Something like fantastic, wildly amazing opportunity. Peter, I liked your 3 points. Very simple, but evocative: geek, family man, and student. And as a father myself, I enjoyed your line about children afraid that their father would show them where the fuse box was. I can just see my kids hiding from it. Gene, I didn't understand. Current fiance, was that your own witticism, or were you reading from his script?
I was attempting to be witty and it fell flat.
Well, it was a valiant attempt. Dennis, I suppose this is just a acronym in use in educational circles, but I hadn't heard it. ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences, but I thought that it was very apt. And your own use of ACE of pain, I like the internal rhyme in that. Art, swing for the gold cup on somebody else's nickel. It's a little bit of a mixed metaphor, but still good. And one misuse, I think, I believe the correct pronunciation of that county to the west of here is Wapello. And, as an outsider here, I've been corrected on Louisa County many times. Word of the day, we finally got rolling. Dennis used it twice. Prana used it, Art used it, Difa used it, I used it, Natalia used it. Thank you.
So now we'll go to the timer. Luis for the timer's report.
Red light on.
Prepared speeches. Peter spoke for 7 minutes 3 seconds. Dennis spoke for 7 minutes 36 seconds. Evaluators. Leslie, 2 minutes 46 seconds. Jean, 3 minutes 28 seconds. Prana, 3 minutes 15 seconds. Table topics. Susanna, 1 minute 2 seconds. Art, 2 minutes. Emery, 1 minute 51 seconds. Hy-Vee, 2 minutes 14 seconds. And Natalia, 1 minute. Thank you.
Now we'll turn to Hy-Vee, the accountant for this report.
Yeah. The word of the day is ah. Peter, you had 4 ah, 1 1 so, 2 and 1 repeated word. Dennis, you are clear. Leslie, it's the word of the day, so I have it. Maybe he will count it. So 8 ah, 8 1 so, and 3 repeated words. Jean, 1 ah. Susanna, 1 ah, 1 you know, 2 so, and 1 and. Art, you were clear. Mercy, you have 1 ah, 1 so. Hold day. What's that? Hadifa. Hadifa, is it Hadifa? Okay, it's 2 ah, and couple of ah now. Our guest, 3 2 like, and 1 you know. Our evaluator, Barry? I have the same problem actually you have when I pronounce your name. Yeah. 4 ah, and 4 and 4 you know, and 1 repeated word. Thank you.
And now we go to our joke master, Prana.
Thank you. Thanks, Fraser. Yeah, all right. Jokes. Okay, so it's getting a little hot in here. You know, I've got my sweater on. Even though this room should be air conditioned, so we're in the Antarctic, right? And this is not right now. My jokes are based in the geographically. You've got some penguins, and they're on a what do you call it? A glacier, right? How do you get from one glacier to another glacier if you're a penguin? I guess this is an answer. Somebody has to volunteer an answer anyway.
Swim.
Go with the flow. Nope. Okay. What type of penguin do you find in the Antarctic? Not in the Antarctic. In America, what type of penguins do you find in America? Macaroni penguins. Okay. Actually, not America. I'm sorry. That was the wrong. It's supposed to be. Where's macaroni from? Anybody? Italy. Okay. What kind of penguins are in Italy? Macaroni penguins. Okay. Next joke. Where do you what type of penguin dances are there? Where do penguins dance? Penguin dance. The snowball. Okay.
Okay, but that's funny.
That's funny. Okay.
That was funny.
What other penguin jokes? I'm thinking cold. That's all I got. All right.
Good,
Thank you.
And as general evaluator, I'll give my report. We started on time. Peter gave a very good speech, and I liked how you wrapped it up by, you had your 3 points, then at the end you come back and say those 3 points are not the only thing but that define a person, but a start. And I like that, how you did that. All right. Now going to the evaluators. Leslie, she followed the manual, and she addressed the speaker. No, I think she had, one thing I didn't like was, I think you had a little too much hand movements. That can be a little distracting. So, yeah, with time, you can take care of that. She said, well, what she liked about your speech, and gave you suggestions. Okay, and yeah, especially with the preparation, yeah, that showed, because yeah, and you segue now and then, yeah. And using notes was okay for this speech, because the beginning speech, it's okay to use notes, so that was all right. Okay. Jean, she again, she followed the manual, and she yeah, and like us, we were very impressed with the speech. None of us had heard about ACE before. That ACE, and she gave some good suggestions about the visual aids, using flip charts instead of these photocopies, because as she pointed out, she could see what was on it, but those at the back could not see the writing. And that was good in pointing that out. Yeah, and as she pointed out, the speech appeared to be very well researched with his supporting documents. And she, yeah, I like how she pointed out in the end his 3 points about the hugs, and instead of using cortisone, the hugs. And yeah, I like how she wrapped it up that way. That's it. That's it now. Back to okay.
Thank you. All right, now we have a fun part of the evening, and that is giving out prizes for best table topics. We have Hudaifa. Okay. And for best evaluator, we have Jean. All right. And we don't have a Best Speaker Award tonight. However, we do have an award for Peter for giving his icebreaker speech. Thank you. And for Dennis, we have an award for getting comfortable with visual aids. And now I'll turn the meeting over to our president, Dennis, for a summary of the evening.
First of all, thanks everybody for your attendance, participation. We enjoyed it. Thank you guests and neighbors for coming along. It's been good to see you guys spontaneously there. I'm glad you guys joined us. You guys got involved in table topics, so it was great. What are your thoughts on the meeting? You guys can. It's an opportunity for a 30-second speech. What do you think about Toastmasters?
I'm gonna come back next week because I like this, and
Great.
I actually have a public speaking class, so
Nice.
might be good practice for my coming up speeches. So
Yeah, it's perfect practice for college, so it's a great
it's a
practice.
college course on this. So.
That's awesome. Thank you. Now that the pressure's on you, Tina.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know me? I'm Tina, Natalia's mother. I'm absolutely happy that this happened today, that we met Dennis at the dining hall, and we're here. This was very enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Glad to have you guys here. Thank you. Okay, next, some business quick. I think we are running a bit short of, we're running over time for sure, so if you guys are okay with it.
We have till 9:15.
9 to 9:15? Okay, because if we want, we could induct Peter and Hudaifa right now, or we can induct them next meeting. You guys prefer to do it right now? Okay, sounds good. Then Peter and Hudaifa, technically we have to have you guys leave the room for just a minute or so. Fraser, Sergeant Arms, would you like to just escort them back in? There's a very technical procedure. We have to follow it for one thing. So we're kicking you guys out. Kicking you guys out for a minute. See how long these guys take to vote. The vote has been decided. You guys got in. Unanimous. Okay, so you guys both please come over here quick. have our quick, oh my bad, induction. Membership in Toastmasters, it was a privilege, and the only way to gain the benefits of our program is to actively participate. Do you, Hudaifa and Peter, promise to be active members of this club, to attend meetings regularly, and prepare fully for your duties?
Yes.
Good. Do you also promise to fulfill the other points in the Toastmasters promise? And I will list them off right here. Here we go. To attend meetings regularly. To prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program. Great. To prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments. To provide fellow members with helpful constructive evaluations. To help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to grow and learn. To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy. To bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers. Great. To adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs. To act within Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence in the conduct of all Toastmasters activities.
Yep.
Great. I will zoom back to that page. Do you also promise then to fulfill all those points in the membership promise? Excellent. Do you, everybody stand first of all. Everybody unanimously stand. You guys all voted yes. So, do you, the members of Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club, promise to support Peter and Hudaifa as they work the Toastmasters program?
We do.
We
Yes.
do.
Great. Then in that case, please be seated. Members, it is my pleasure to declare you installed as members of our Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. Thank you. You're in officially. Glad to have you guys. Glad to have you all here. Excellent. Next word of business quickly is these guys. I'm going to remind everybody, again, keep remembering everybody who's on a roll today. So, for timer, grammarian, all counter, especially, since you're new, that's excellent for you. Is that be sure you have somebody, if you've got this book already, have somebody fill this out. So you're getting credit for your role. We want to make sure we are getting more competent leaders as soon as possible. Complete. Any questions on that so far? Yep.
Just a good suggestion, I think, is to, if you're playing a role, at the beginning of the meeting, go up to another member in the club and say, would you please be my evaluator for my role tonight as timer, as evaluator, and let them have that competent leader manual with them. And then they can fill it out and give it back to you by the end of the meeting.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion because that's something I've forgotten in the past. I say, okay, I'll wait till later. Before I know it, most people are out of the room. So I like that. Henry?
I was just along that line, if you don't get it done that night, it's an ancient history by another week. So bring your manual and find an evaluator that night.
Yeah, that's true. I just started kicking myself 2 hours ago or whenever officers meeting was because I realized, I forgot to do it last week too. So I can't do it anymore. So be sure you remember. Yep.
You can also, when the agenda comes out from Emory and you see what your role is going to be, You can go and take a look at your competent leader manual to find which project would give you credit for the role that you're going to be doing. And that's at the back or the front at this point? They sort of move them around from time to time.
Mine is in the back.
The back, okay, so that's the project completion summary. So the deal is, the drill will be, you get the agenda, you see what your role is, and you go back and you look at the project completion record and just scan down the middle column and see, let's say if it's a timer, just start looking down until you see, oh, there's a timer there. And then look and see what the project requires, because a lot of the projects you don't have to do everything. You can do timer plus one of the other three, or you can do 3 out of 4. But you can, at that point, you know which project you're going to ask your evaluator when you come in the room to evaluate you on. And my suggestion is periodically you go in there and you go, okay, which projects can I actually mark as complete? And put them in there and put your date, because when the date that you did that little bit, that timer assignment, you put that date there, because when you go to get competent leader credit from Toastmasters International, that page has to go in. And you can only get 1 credit for per meeting. So you absolutely need to make sure that there are no dates that are the same on that. That's another little heads up. And they do look at that, because I have had, from the other club I have, that I've had them call and say, we have a conflict here. You need to go back and check and see if that was actually the case. So that's what you do, and you just keep that. It's like a crossword puzzle, kind of. You keep working on it, and let me just, what I suggest is, when you go back and you go, oh, looks like I've completed what I need for project number 1, you can just put a little star next to project number 1. It means we're done with project number 1. And so as you continue to get your roles, don't worry about project 1, it's done now. You can now look down at the others. At some point, there won't be any more timer credit that you can get, and you may be assigned to be the timer. That's just the way it goes. But you want to keep an eye on which things you're going to need and start to try to see if you can get this completed.
And when you start getting filled up, and you say, well, if I could just be an evaluator or general evaluator, I could finish my manual. It's fine to tell me you want that role. You don't just have to talk to me about speaking roles, but any kind of role you need to complete a requirement.
Right. And also, we just had our contest period, and projects number, let's see, it's number 6. Project number 6 is help organize a club speech contest. Boom. All of us, most of us in the room helped in some way. We were a timer, we were a judge, we were doing things like that. Have one of your club members, and we have allowed this even though we don't let you go back and fill things out for past weeks, because we're busy when we're doing the contest. We do allow people to go back and say, hey, would you evaluate me in my book so I can get credit for the contest. And if you help with the contest, project number 6, you only need to do 1 out of 6 options there. So if you get that one done, you've just completed project number 6. Also, it's not, although this is the quick and dirty right here, each project does have written material about it, because you want to be getting better at these leadership qualities, listening, critical thinking, giving feedback. So what you want to do is you want to go read the material, then bring your book. Susanna, would you just give me a quick little, and it's not a verbal evaluation, they just fill out a few sentences. Would you just evaluate me this time for, I'm in project number 8, or no, project number 9, mentoring. Well, that's not one. Let's see, project 10, team building. I have to be either a Toastmaster, and a general evaluator, or one of these other following things. Okay, so maybe, Susanna was a Toastmaster, she could come to me and she could say, hey, could you evaluate me tonight for my Toastmaster role? And then she's got that covered. Okay, so that's a quick and dirty on this. Now, I'm going to suggest just something. These things, once you get a new one when you are a new member, You can do these as many times as you want, and the club gets credit and needs these done. So it's kind of like rabbits. You want to keep doing these. I have a stack of them that I've completed. So you want to keep doing this. And Dennis, you might even consider, if you don't have one, go find the one that you have if you haven't sent one of these in yet. If you've already sent one in or you need to get another one, you can buy them from Toastmasters International. You can go, you log in, toastmastersinternational.org, and you can shop for things that you need. And an option could be, if you guys go and you look and come back next week and, we find there's 6 people that can't find this, it got, the dog ate it, or, whatever happened to it, maybe someone would want to place an order, you could just save on the shipping like that. But that's the deal. We all should, we all should be walking in here with these. That's the basic deal. Okay, so that's a quick summary. Is this yours?
Yeah.
Peter has a question.
Okay.
Quick
Yeah.
question, does one of those come with the new member packet?
Yes. You'll get a competent communicator and a competent leader, because Toastmasters is both education and leadership. It looks like we're out of time, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, everybody, for your suggestions. That'll be good. All right, is there any other business anybody else has related to this meeting or previous next ones? Right before we adjourn, in that case, just be sure that you guys are brainstorming a certain candidate that we could be having for our special event that will be coming up in January. But we do want to start planning that already around this month, in November especially. So we are getting potentially somebody who's charismatic or well known in the community, and also somebody who's going to have some interesting things to say about what they're doing, whether it's, say, in arts, politics, business, anything, science, and relating that to communications. That'd be fantastic if you guys can find some more people.
Yes.
So please do find guest speakers. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Nothing else at that moment then? In that case, meeting adjourned. Thank you.